Democrats. Today is Monday, October 26th, and it's time for my daily live. So over the weekend and a couple of calls today, I'm getting all kinds of calls for people talking to me about the next election cycle, as if we've already come on November 3rd. So first of all, we need to focus on this election. We are 8 days away. There's still a lot of work to do, even though 50 million people have voted early throughout the United States. That number doesn't necessarily include us, because we haven't started early in-person voting. We have started absentee balloting, and if you have your ballot, please make a plan to go drop off your ballot. Make sure that it gets counted. But I've been getting a ton of calls, emails, texts, DMs asking me, are we going to be like Texas? And what are we going to do so that we can be like Texas? And by be like Texas, all I can do is assume that they mean that Texas is on the verge of being at the very minimum purple and at the maximum a blue state, going from all the way red to either purple or blue. And that's super exciting, but they didn't get there by just a wish, right? They got there by deliberate actions, by a plan, and by everyone chipping in. And so that's not to say that we don't have a plan, but I want to share with you kind of how they got there, right? Beto O'Rourke ran, and he got people super excited. He got people engaged. And though he didn't win, he didn't go away. He stayed engaged, and he redirected his focus. And he's been focusing a lot of his effort over the last year of making sure to register more people to vote in the state of Texas, making sure that people are engaged and that Democrats are engaged and that Democrats know that there are Democrats in Texas, right? Because Texas was actually the number 50 state in voter turnout. So they had worse voter turnout than we did. And so they've been working on voter turnout. They've been working on voter registration and voter education and voter engagement. And I have personally attended some of their trainings. And I got to tell you that in the middle of RGOTV, and excited as I am about the candidates that I know, I almost signed up to do calls for Texas because I was so, they got me energized. And so those are some of the things. But what it took and what it takes is for the candidates that we recruit, we have to support them. We are super excited about Kendra being on the ballot and excited about Abby being on the ballot. Every congressional district in the state of Oklahoma has a Democrat on the ballot, and we've got to support those candidates. It does us no good to recruit them and not support them when they're running. And support isn't just about money, but money is a big key. When people are calling me and wondering why their candidate isn't on TV, my answer is because TV is not free, right? They need money to pay for their walk cards and the stuff that you get in the mail, and to pay for commercials and to pay for their staff. They need money to do that. And also to supplement their staff, they need volunteers. And so when you ask why our candidates are struggling and why you're not seeing them on TV and what are we going to do to get more candidates? My answer, and I've been trying to figure out a nice way to say this because it's the answer's hard. The answer is, if we're going to recruit a candidate, we have to support that candidate. If we want more candidates, we have to create an environment where candidates feel like there's going to be support. The first thing they do is they look around to find out, are there enough volunteers? Is there enough interest in their campaign to sustain them? Is there money? Are they going to be able to raise enough money to do the things that they need to do? And where do they get that information? Is they go and they look at what happened in the past. And so I say that to say, right now is your time to A, help the candidates that we have on the ballot right now, and B, help us to continue to recruit quality candidates. So go find a candidate or two and support those candidates. Find a candidate that you can, it's cold and rainy or snowy or icy, depending on what part of the state you're in today. But by the end of the week, the weather's going to be better. Find a candidate that you can drop literature for. Find a candidate that you can donate money to, that you can write postcards for. They still need this help. And not only will it help these candidates who need your help and who are on the ballot in 8 days, we need to do everything that we can. But what it does is it sets us up for the next cycle. So when we're out recruiting candidates and we're saying, please, you seem great, I would love for you to represent me. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to say, is there money? Are there volunteers? Will there be enough support to help me get elected? And they're going to look at the past. So we have 8 days to shore up the past for our next cycle. We need to help these candidates get elected, because that also helps candidates in the future. If they see candidates get elected, they feel more hope. But if they go back and they see candidates are raising money and that they had enough volunteers, it gives them a little bit more fortitude that they will step forward and they will run. And that's what we have to focus on. I shouldn't be talking about this today, 8 days before the election, but I'm telling you, I've been getting calls, like I said, calls, emails, texts, DMs asking me. So I thought, you know what? I will address it. We have to support local candidates. We have to support local candidates if we want more local candidates. Well, first of all, if we want more representation, and we want more representation, but if we want more local candidates, we have to support the candidates that we have now. I just can't say it enough. We have to support the candidates that we have now. So thank you to the Veterans Committee, Veterans Federation. Go out to okdemocrats.org/candidates. Find a candidate or two to support. Give them everything you have. Right now, because it's cold outside, we're doing phone banks all over the state. Find a candidate to phone bank for. You don't have to leave. You can stay snugly in your blanket and make some phone calls. So before I leave, I want to make sure that I encourage you again to make your plan to vote. iwillvote.com. Go out, pull up your sample ballot so you know who you're voting for. Make sure your polling place hasn't changed, because some have changed. And decide, are you going to request your absentee ballot? Tomorrow is the last day to request your absentee ballot. And then there are only 3 ways to vote now. I'm just going to narrow it down. There are 3 ways to vote. You're going to request your absentee ballot and hand deliver it to your election board. Don't put it in the mail. We want to make sure that it gets there. Hand deliver it to your county election board. You can vote in person early, starting this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of this week. You can vote in person early. In 75 counties, you can vote at your county election board. In Tulsa County, it's at the One Oak baseball field. And in Pontotoc County, it's at the Agri Center. So early in-person voting, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then next Tuesday is the big day. So absentee, hand deliver, early in-person voting, or voting on the last day to vote, which is November 3rd. I'm going to stop calling that the election day, because we all know in Oklahoma, we will know our results on the 3rd. But nationwide, it could be maybe a week before we know, depending on what happens everywhere else. I'm hoping that the numbers are so large they can't be manipulated. But our current president has shown that he's willing to manipulate anything that's out there. So we just have to be careful. So please make sure that you have your plan to vote. Make sure that everyone you come in contact with, and I'm telling you, I'm harassing the people at the bank. I'm talking to the people at Chipotle, making sure that they have a plan to vote. And if you're going to vote in person and you have the kind of job that keeps in touch with your time, make sure you're running out of time to give them notice, so they have to let you off. They only have to let you off if you've given them notice. So please go ahead and give them notice. So that's all I have for today. Figure out who you're going to help in the next 8 days. And I'm not even saying it like it's a choice. Figure out who you're going to help in the next 8 days, and figure out how you're going to make sure your vote is cast in the next 8 days. All righty. You guys have a great day, and I'll be back tomorrow at 4:15. Sharing is caring.